Rev up your engine! Now here's something you never used to see. This car was bought at a Toyota dealer, but it's an auction car. Now, it used to be the other way around. It used to be the dealers auctioned the cars off that they didn't want to sell. But there's so few cars with this coronavirus stuff, now they're even going to auctions and selling them. The frame had been bent on this thing, was told by an insurance company. Now it's making a noise and has a misfire, so let's check it out. We'll see if we can replicate the noise. I can feel it misfiring. Okay, we'll get on a faster road here and we'll see if we can get that noise. The little dunk noise. Yeah, I can hear the little dunk noise. So we'll go back and we'll take it apart, try to figure it out. It's got a misfire in number 2, so let's look at number 2. Easy enough, we'll take this plastic crap off, get it out of the way. Here's number 2. So I'll put a socket in, take a look at it. But in this case it won't come out, so we'll get a magnet. There it goes. New one, it looks okay, but let's check one thing. Now the gap's supposed to be about 0.43 of an inch, so we'll get the little gauge out and see what it is. Spot on, it's the right gap. So there's nothing wrong with the gap. Now these have only been on a couple of months, and these are aftermarket ones. There's no number on them. He said he bought them aftermarket. I'm guessing that this coil is bad, so what we're gonna do is the easiest trick in the book. But before we do that, let's put the spark plug back in so we don't forget. We're gonna take the number 2 coil, we're gonna swap it with the number 4, then we'll take it for a road test and see if the mist moves to number 4, showing it's a bad coil. So we'll get the number 4, I'm stuck on there, wiggle it a little. There it goes. Put it on number 2, and the number 2 goes on the number 4. Make sure you snap it on, fold it back in place. Do the same thing on the other side. And this is where a scan tool comes in handy. Now we're going to erase all the codes, and we'll do a quick scan. It's got the misfire on cylinder number 2. It's all over the place. Keep showing the same one, so we know it's a serious problem. First thing we're going to do is erase it, which is real easy. You push erase. Then it says erase. Okay, now it erased it. Close the hood and take it for a spin. Now as you can see, the check engine light's off, so we'll take it for a spin. See what happens. I can feel it's still misfiring, even now, so it shouldn't take much but a little drive before the check engine light will come back on again. Like I say, it didn't take long. It's hooking itself back up, and now it says cylinder 4 misfire detected. So that shows you got a bad ignition coil. Now, what's the lesson here? The lesson is, in this case, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, luckily, he saved the 4 old ones. As you can see, these are the original equipment. They say Toyota Denso. I've seen these things last 20, 30 years. He made a mistake of buying these things online, a set of them that were dirt cheap, and they went bad already. Now, these had 100,000 miles, 101,000 miles on them. That's nothing for a Toyota. If it's working, leave it alone. And believe you me, if you do get one that goes bad, buy another Toyota Denso one. Now, you don't have to go to the dealer. There's lots of places that sell them. You don't want one of these cheap aftermarket Chinese-made ones. So we'll remove the offending number 4, and as it goes front where the fan belt is, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take it out, and as you can see, Chinese jobs, there's not a name on the thing. They make them generically. They don't even put a name. So you don't know what company makes them. Stay away from these things. Back goes the original equipment one. See, Toyota Denso. That's what you want. They have numbers on them. They're very easy to find. And really, I'd say he's probably better putting them all back in with the original equipment. But do make sure that you get the bolt on nice and snug, because it helps ground the assembly on the engine. You don't want to break it. You just want it snug like that. We'll just make sure they're all snug, so they're grounded correctly. Now, you notice the check engine light's still on, because it'll go off if you drive it a while, since it fixed it. But as long as you got the scan tool, erase codes, we'll erase it so it goes off. And as you can see now, when we start it up, the check engine light is off. We'll put it in gear. Does it shake anymore? No. So that part's fixed. Now let's go to try to figure out what the noise is coming from the right front. That's where the wreck was. That's why I don't advise people to buy cars that were wrecked and sold at an auction. There's so many things that can go wrong. Now we'll jack it up. Check the wreck damage side. Now it's nice and tight. There's no play in the wheel bearing. But I can see from the wreck, this had been hitting the tire. They didn't put a new piece in, they just used the plastic over. They should have put a new piece in. You can see just physically they did a sloppy job. They didn't replace the part they should have replaced, but you can see the gap here. Now listen. You can see it rattles a little, but check the other side out. See? Look, you pull on it. It's on there real solid, doesn't rattle. We go back to the side that was wrapped. It's just undercarriage plastic stuff. Now, no one was worried the bumper was going to fall off. It's not going to fall off. It's just that they did a sloppy job. And I see that all the time in body shops, especially in totaled cars. Instead of buying all new parts, they use over old ones. And guess what happens to plastic? You get in a wreck, it gets bent and broken. You can put it back on, but it's always going to rattle. Surprisingly enough, they did put this piece back on, well, at least part of it. A lot of times they don't even have them on anymore, but you can see it's missing a few of the snaps that hold it on. That's no big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. You can even see here, instead of a screw, it's got a twist tie that goes around that was pulled out and then cut off. They're supposed to be bolted on like this, but you know, they just rigged it on. It's nothing to worry about. I mean, it's always gonna make a little noise, but as you can see, it's not gonna fall off. It's just gonna make noise. See here, just look at the difference. The hole here, and this part is barely on. Where's the non-smash side? See? It's much more solid. Even it's been replaced. That's not the factory screw. So a lot of parts have been replaced. They just did a sloppy job on that side. It's not going to hurt anything. That's one reason when you get cars that were in wrecks, a lot of times the guys won't put that plastic crap back on, and then they don't make any noise. Check out my wife's Lexus. I'm lazy, so I'm going to ride my creeper over there. Whee! There we go. See? There's nothing under here. And it's never been there since I've owned the car, and it doesn't make any noise. You can see, you're always going to scrape bottom stuff, and that breaks all that. So I got it with none on. I never put it back, and it's quiet as heck. So if that stuff really drives you nuts, heck, just take it off and throw it away. It doesn't do much of anything. Get my screwdriver out of the way. And talk about what we learned today. Well, one, we learned that even Toyota dealers are doing anything to sell cars now. They're going to auctions, buying totaled, wrecked cars at an auction, and then selling them on to people. It's gotten that bad because they don't have enough cars. They got to make money selling something, so even they're going to the auctions. Back in my day, when I was even a middle-aged mechanic, you'd never see that. Toyota would take a trade-in, but if it was all worn out or wrecked, they would sell it at an auction. They would have their own auctions to get rid of them. But they're so hard up for cars, even they're selling auction cars now. And two, we learned don't buy cheap aftermarket ignition coil sets. That's why his car was misfiring. He was doing a good thing to his car. He said, well, it's got 100,000 miles. I'll change the coil packs, put new ones on. He put them on, and he didn't last but a few months on the one. Luckily, he saved the old ones. So there's another lesson. Let's say you're going to do something like that, but your car's still running okay, save the old ones. I got a spare distributor in my silicone, a fuel pump, because the car's pushing 30 years old. I put new ones on, but I kept the old ones. Who knows? They were still working, right? And the last thing is, don't worry too much about bumper noises when you're going on the road, especially on a wreck car. You can see, look, it's even a different color. This has got the sparkly paint that's a lot lighter than the paint here, and the gap is too big, and they reuse some of the plastic part. Shouldn't have a hole there. I mean, you're going to get noise. It isn't going to hurt anything. But you can certainly tell that this car was in a wreck because, look, here's the driver's side of the hood. See how it's pretty even? Let's go to the passenger side. Look at the gap there. You can tell that's the side that was bent. There's no arguing that. But really, it's a Toyota Camry. It still runs good, aside from the bad problem with the cheap coil. It's a good car, runs good, stops good. So, don't expect perfection. If you're buying a car that was sold in an auction, you can still get one that's still a good driver. This has got 101,000 miles on it now. I've seen it with 400,000 or 500,000 miles on them. So it's not a bad deal. Just realize what you're getting into in the first place. I mean, who knows? The transmission could have been damaged and they don't know, and then drive down the road and it drops a gear or something. No, everything else is fine. And if you're going to maintain your car, do it with quality parts. Don't go for the cheaper ones, especially when you're dealing with electronics. A lot of times, you're better going to a junkyard and getting a used OEM factory part than buying this stuff on eBay that's made in China, because I see that all the time. Don't get fooled by price. Make sure you're getting a quality part. Most of the Toyota parts are electronic or nip and dental. You want to get one. You don't have to buy it at the dealer. You can find them other places. But don't go on eBay and buy those generic ones, or they'll bite you in the rear end like you did him. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.